March 18, 1945. The Rhine River, Germany. The morning fog lifts to reveal what German intelligence officers can barely comprehend through their field glasses. Massed along the eastern bank near Viersen sits an entire American armored division. Hundreds of M4 Sherman tanks. Artillery batteries. Supply convoys stretching for miles. Radio intercepts confirm it. The 30th Infantry Division prepares to cross the Rhine at this exact location. The German High Command redirects precious reserves toward Viersen. Anti-aircraft batteries swing into position. Panzer units race to reinforce the sector. Every available soldier moves to defend against what appears to be the main American thrust across Germany's last natural barrier. What the Germans don't know is that they're staring at the greatest magic show in military history. Those tanks weigh 93 pounds. Not 32 tons. 93 pounds of inflated rubber. Those supply trucks? Also rubber. 2 men can carry what appears to be a half-track. The radio chatter flooding German listening posts? Pre-recorded and broadcast from massive speakers that can be heard 15 miles away. The entire armored division? A theatrical production staged by artists, fashion designers, and sound engineers who never fired a shot in anger. 20 miles north, the real 30th Infantry Division crosses the Rhine in near silence. Minimal casualties. Complete tactical surprise. The Germans never saw them coming because they were too busy watching phantoms. The unit responsible calls itself the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops. History will remember them as the Ghost Army. By the time Germany surrenders 8 weeks later, this 1,000-man deception unit will have staged more than 20 battlefield illusions across France, Luxembourg, Belgium, and Germany. They will simulate 2 entire divisions, 30,000 men, with nothing but creativity and audacity. Military analysts will credit them with saving between 15,000 and 30,000 American lives. But in March 1944, when 2 army planners first proposed the idea, the Pentagon brass called it the stupidest thing they'd ever heard. What those planners didn't know was that their impossible idea would revolutionize modern warfare, establish the foundation for psychological operations still used today, and prove that sometimes the most powerful weapon isn't steel, it's illusion. This is the story of how a ragtag unit of artists turned deception into devastation. By January 1944, Allied planners face a brutal mathematical reality. D-Day approaches. American forces will storm Fortress Europe against entrenched German defenders who've spent 4 years fortifying every beach, every hedgerow, every river crossing. Standard military doctrine requires overwhelming numerical superiority for successful amphibious assault, at least 3-to-1 advantage, preferably 5-to-1. The Allies don't have those numbers. Not even close. Worse, every previous amphibious operation has telegraphed Allied intentions weeks in advance. The Germans aren't stupid. They watch ship concentrations, monitor radio traffic, track supply buildups. By the time landing craft hit the beach, Wehrmacht reserves sit waiting in perfect defensive positions. The casualties at Dieppe in 1942 proved the cost of predictability. Of the 5,000 Canadians who landed, fewer than half returned. The intelligence failure was catastrophic. American commanders try everything. They conduct elaborate naval feints. They leak false information through double agents. They stage dummy landing exercises in Scotland while the real invasion force masses in southern England. But none of it addresses the core problem. How do you hide the movement of entire armies? How do you make the enemy believe you're attacking one place while you strike another? British intelligence achieves limited success with Operation Bertram at El Alamein in late 1942, using dummy tanks to disguise troop concentrations. But that operation involved static positions in open desert, perfect conditions for visual deception. The coming campaign in Europe requires something far more sophisticated, mobile deception units that can move with advancing armies, creating phantom divisions that appear, disappear, and reappear hundreds of miles away within days. Traditional military minds reject the concept entirely. Deception belongs to spies and saboteurs, they argue, not regular army units. The entire notion violates every principle of conventional warfare. You win battles with firepower and maneuver, not parlor tricks. Multiple proposals for dedicated deception units get buried in Pentagon bureaucracy. The expert consensus is clear. Battlefield deception on an operational scale is impossible to coordinate, impossible to sustain, and impossible to prevent from backfiring catastrophically if the enemy sees through it. The stakes. The numbers tell the story. Eisenhower's staff estimates that without effective deception, D-Day casualties could exceed 50% in the first wave. Failure means the invasion stalls on the beaches. Failure means thousands of Americans die in the surf. Failure means Nazi Germany gets another year to perfect jet fighters, to build more V-2 rockets, possibly to develop atomic weapons. Everything depends on surprise. Everything depends on making Hitler believe the invasion will strike at Pas-de-Calais, not Normandy. Everything depends on convincing German intelligence that phantom armies mass in southeast England while the real invasion force prepares in the southwest. But how do you fool the most sophisticated intelligence service in the world? How do you sustain a deception across hundreds of miles and multiple months? How do you make inflatable tanks and fake radio chatter convince hardened Wehrmacht generals to make fatal deployment decisions? The Pentagon doesn't have answers. They have plenty of skepticism. They have budget concerns. They have risk-averse senior officers who've spent 30 years learning that conventional tactics win conventional wars. What they don't have is time. D-Day is 4 months away. If someone doesn't solve the deception problem immediately, hundreds of thousands of American soldiers will pay for that failure with their lives. That's when two relatively unknown army planners decide to propose something so audacious, so unprecedented, that it will either revolutionize modern warfare or get them both court-martialed for wasting military resources in wartime. Colonel Billy Harris and Major Ralph Ingersoll aren't your typical military heroes. Harris is an army planner with background in logistics, a desk officer who's never commanded combat troops. Ingersoll is even less conventional. Before the war, he worked as a journalist and magazine editor in New York City. His military experience consists of exactly 18 months. Neither man has tactical combat experience. Neither holds advanced degrees in military science. Neither attended West Point. The Army brass views them as staff officers, competent administrators, the kind of men who shuffle papers and prepare reports while real soldiers fight battles. But Harris and Ingersoll possess something the conventional generals lack: creative thinking unencumbered by doctrinal orthodoxy. Ingersoll, the former journalist, approaches military problems like investigative stories, questioning assumptions, examining alternatives, imagining scenarios that textbook tacticians would never consider. In late 1943, Harris and Ingersoll study British deception operations in North Africa. They interview officers who participated in Operation Bertram. They examine captured German intelligence reports. They recognize what others missed. The Germans didn't just fall for visual deception at El Alamein. They fell for the entire theatrical production: fake radio traffic, dummy supply dumps, elaborate sonic effects. The deception worked because it engaged multiple intelligence-gathering systems simultaneously. That's when Ingersoll has his breakthrough insight. "We're not building a fake tank battalion," he tells Harris late one night in their London planning office. "We're producing a Broadway show for an audience of German intelligence officers." The concept crystallizes rapidly. What if they recruited artists instead of soldiers? Fashion designers who understand visual presentation. Sound engineers who can record authentic battlefield noise. Radio operators who can improvise convincing fake traffic. Theater set designers who can create three-dimensional illusions. Painters who can apply camouflage so realistic that aerial reconnaissance can't distinguish fake from real. Most critically, what if they organized these artists into a mobile unit that could deploy anywhere along the front, appearing and disappearing like ghosts, creating phantom armies that would force the Germans to disperse forces, to second-guess intelligence, to make catastrophic strategic errors? Harris sees the potential immediately. But he also sees the obstacles. The Pentagon will never approve this. Unit composition violates every Army regulation. The table of organization would be unprecedented. The budget for rubber decoys, sonic equipment, and radio gear would rival a full infantry division. And the entire concept contradicts 60 years of military doctrine that says you win wars by destroying enemy forces, not tricking them. They'll call us crazy, Harris warns. They'll call it impossible. Ingersoll agrees. They spend 3 weeks preparing the proposal. They gather British intelligence assessments from El Alamein. They calculate potential casualty reductions. They draft organizational charts. They estimate equipment costs. They anticipate every objection. On January 15, 1944, they walk into a Pentagon conference room to brief senior officers on what they're calling the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops, a tactical deception unit unlike anything in military history. They have 30 minutes to sell the most unconventional idea the U.S. Army has ever considered. The presentation doesn't go well. The conference room erupts before Ingersoll finishes his third slide. Rubber tanks? A brigadier general from G3 operations literally laughs out loud. You want to fool the Wehrmacht with inflatable toys? This is a waste of time. Another officer interrupts. German intelligence isn't staffed by idiots. You think they won't spot fake equipment from reconnaissance aircraft? Harris tries to explain the multi-layered approach, visual, sonic, radio, and atmospheric deception working in coordination. And Colonel cuts him off. This violates basic principles of force concentration. You're proposing to disperse combat power to create illusions instead of destroying enemy formations. The objections cascade. The unit composition is absurd. Artists don't belong in combat zones. The equipment isn't proven. Nobody knows if rubber decoys will survive field conditions. The concept is untested. What happens when the enemy sees through the deception? The whole idea could backfire catastrophically, alerting Germans to real Allied dispositions instead of concealing them. This isn't warfare, one general declares flatly. This is a carnival sideshow. But Harris and Ingersoll have one critical advantage: desperation. D-Day casualties projections terrify everyone in that room. Every officer knows the invasion's success depends on operational surprise. Every officer knows the Germans expect the attack at Pas-de-Calais. If the Allies can reinforce that expectation, if they can make Hitler believe phantom armies mass in eastern England while the real invasion force prepares in the west, it might save thousands of lives. After 90 minutes of heated debate, the meeting adjourns without approval. Harris and Ingersoll leave convinced their idea died in that conference room. They don't know that 2 officers remain behind after they leave. The maverick leader. One is General Eisenhower's deputy chief of staff. The other handles deception planning for Operation Overlord. They've watched the presentation with growing interest, seeing what the conventional officers missed. 3 days later, Harris receives orders to report to Supreme Headquarters Allied Expeditionary Force. Eisenhower's staff has one question. How quickly can you activate this unit? On January 20, 1944, the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops officially activates with Colonel Harry L. Reeder as commanding officer. Reeder is an Army veteran with combat experience, the kind of commander who can navigate military bureaucracy while protecting his unconventional subordinates. The recruitment begins immediately. Army personnel offices across the United States receive unusual requests. Identify soldiers with backgrounds in art, theater, design, sound engineering, advertising, and industrial fabrication. A 19-year-old art student named Bernie Bluestein sees a cryptic notice on his Cleveland College bulletin board. Wanted, soldiers with artistic ability for special assignment. He enlists without knowing what the assignment involves. A fashion design student named Bill Blass receives similar recruitment. So does painter Ellsworth Kelly. Artist Arthur Shilstone. Photographer Art Kane. By March, more than 1,000 soldiers with creative backgrounds report to Camp Forest, Tennessee, for training that defies every military norm they've ever encountered. They're not learning infantry tactics. They're learning stagecraft. Meanwhile, engineers work frantically at multiple locations developing the equipment this phantom army will need. The British provide technical specifications for inflatable tank designs. American manufacturers experiment with different rubber compounds, seeking materials that can withstand field conditions while remaining light enough for two-man crews to transport and deploy. Bell Labs engineers travel to Fort Knox, Kentucky, where they spend weeks recording actual armored units during training exercises. They capture the sounds of tanks moving, engines idling, troops assembling, supply trucks driving, artillery firing. Everything gets recorded onto massive phonograph records, each weighing 15 pounds, containing 15 minutes of battlefield audio. The sonic deception equipment poses unique challenges. How do you amplify recorded sound loud enough to be heard miles away without obvious distortion? Bell Labs develops 500-pound speakers mounted on half-tracks, mobile sound systems powerful enough to project audio across 15 miles of terrain. By April 1944, equipment arrives at Camp Forest. For the first time, soldiers of the 23rd see what they'll deploy: rubber M4 Sherman tanks weighing 93 pounds fully inflated. Inflatable trucks. Fake artillery pieces. Dummy reconnaissance planes. An entire arsenal of theatrical props that must convince German intelligence they're witnessing real American divisions. The first inflation test produces chaos. Soldiers struggle with their pumps, valves, and structural frames. The rubber tanks emerge wrinkled, lopsided, obviously fake. It takes 16 men 40 minutes to inflate a single tank, and it looks like a high school theater production. Colonel Reeder watches the disaster unfold. Then he makes a critical decision. We're not soldiers trying to be artists. We're artists learning to be soldiers. Use your creative training. Everything changes. Art students who understand perspective and visual composition begin positioning decoys to maximize realism from aerial reconnaissance angles. Theater designers who built stage sets develop techniques for securing inflatable structures against wind. Fashion designers who understand fabric apply their knowledge to preventing rubber wrinkles. Industrial designers optimize the inflation process, reducing deployment time from 40 minutes to 7. By May 1944, the Ghost Army boards transport ships bound for England. They carry equipment unlike anything in military inventory: 600 inflatable vehicles, 18 500-pound sonic projectors, radio equipment capable of simulating entire division headquarters, and creative determination to prove the skeptics wrong. First combat test. They arrive in France on June 15, 1944, 9 days after D-Day. Their first mission, Operation Elephant, launches July 1 near the Normandy beachhead. The objective: simulate artillery batteries to draw German counter-battery fire away from real American guns. It's a disaster. The rubber artillery pieces inflate smoothly. The soldiers position them perfectly. The sonic recordings broadcast convincingly. But nobody coordinates with actual American artillery units. The Ghost Army positions its fake batteries directly in line with German observation posts while real American guns fire from completely different locations. German artillery commanders look at the fake positions, listen to sounds coming from elsewhere, and immediately recognize something's wrong. The operation fails to deceive anyone. Worse, it nearly gets men killed when confused American infantry units almost fire on what they think are German infiltrators moving inflatable equipment at night. Colonel Reeder's after-action report is brutal. Our visual deception bears no resemblance to actual tactical deployment. Our sonic effects don't match observed muzzle flashes. Our radio traffic uses call signs that real units abandoned weeks ago. We're a traveling disaster waiting for the Germans to exploit. The unit faces disbandment. Pentagon officers who opposed the concept from the beginning prepare triumphant memoranda. Told you so. But Reeder makes one more argument that saves the Ghost Army. Give us one more mission. Let us coordinate properly with the units we're simulating. Let us integrate all deception methods, visual, sonic, radio, and special effects, into one synchronized operation. Eisenhower's deception staff agrees. One more chance. On September 15, 1944, the Ghost Army receives orders for Operation Brest. This time, everything changes. September 14, 1944. Outside Paris, the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops bivouacs at Saint-Germain-en-Laye. Colonel Reeder receives orders that will either vindicate the entire Ghost Army concept or destroy it permanently. Operation Brest requires the unit to simulate multiple divisions simultaneously while real American forces conduct complex maneuvers around the fortified French port. For the first time, the Ghost Army will employ all 4 deception methods in perfect coordination: visual decoys, sonic effects, radio deception, and what they call special effects: soldiers wearing different unit patches, driving vehicles with fake markings, deliberately being seen in areas where their simulated units are supposedly operating. But first, Reeder must convince skeptical division commanders to trust his phantom soldiers with their unit's safety. The meeting at 8th Corps headquarters on September 16 goes poorly from the start. Division commanders whose troops will depend on the deception don't hide their contempt. "You're telling me," one colonel says slowly, staring at Reeder, "that I should pull my real tanks back and let you put rubber toys in their place, while my men assault prepared fortifications? The deception will work," Reeder insists, "if we coordinate properly." "If?" The colonel's voice rises. "My soldiers' lives depend on if. What happens when German reconnaissance spots your carnival props and realizes our actual strength?" Another division commander interrupts. "We tried coordinating with you in Normandy. It was a disaster. You nearly caused friendly fire incidents. Now you want another chance to get my men killed?" The room erupts. Officers shout over each other. Multiple commanders demand the Ghost Army be pulled from the operation entirely. One suggests disbanding the unit and redistributing its men to infantry replacements where they might actually contribute to winning the war. Reeder stands silently, letting the storm rage. Then he unrolls a map on the conference table. "Here's what the Germans know," he begins quietly. The room gradually silences. They know 8th Corps is attacking Brest. They know approximately how many divisions you have. They know your artillery positions because they've plotted your muzzle flashes. They know your supply routes because they've photographed them from reconnaissance aircraft. He places markers on the map. What they don't know is which divisions will attack which sectors. They don't know when you'll attack. They don't know if you're massing for breakthrough or conducting holding actions. Right now, they're dispersing forces to defend everywhere because they lack detailed intelligence. Reeder looks directly at the skeptical commanders. "Give us 4 days. We'll create fake divisions in the sectors where you're not attacking. We'll broadcast radio traffic simulating headquarters that don't exist. We'll position rubber tanks and artillery where you want the Germans to reinforce. We'll create so much noise, literal and figurative, that German intelligence won't know what's real and what isn't. And if they see through it," the colonel demands, "then you've lost 4 days of preparation time," Reeder admits. "But if it works, German reserves will be defending empty sectors while your real assault hits weakly defended positions. Your casualties drop. Your breakthrough succeeds. My men take the risk. Your men get the advantage." The room falls silent. The division commanders exchange glances. Military careers hang on decisions like this. Finally, the 8th Corps G3 operations officer speaks. "You get 4 days. You coordinate through my staff. Any hint this is compromising real operations, I'd pull you immediately." Reeder nods. "Understood, sir." As the meeting breaks up, one division commander pulls Reeder aside. "I hope you know what you're doing, Colonel. A lot of families back home are depending on you not getting their sons killed with rubber toys." The approval that changed everything. Operation Brest runs from September 17 to 21, 1944. The Ghost Army deploys to positions southwest of the city, while real American divisions mass to the northeast. For 96 hours, Harris's artists staged the most sophisticated deception operation in military history to that point. They inflate decoy tanks in open fields where German aerial reconnaissance will photograph them. They dig realistic foxholes and tank revetments around the fake equipment. They use bulldozers to create vehicle tracks suggesting heavy armor movement. They'd position real soldiers from attached infantry battalions to create activity that looks authentic from observation posts 3 miles away. At night, the sonic crews broadcast recordings of tanks moving, creating the illusion of armored units repositioning under cover of darkness. Radio operators simulate headquarters traffic, using proper authentication codes and call signs that match the fake divisions they're portraying. Most critically, they coordinate every element with real operations. When actual American artillery fires, the Ghost Army sonic trucks play recorded artillery sounds from fake positions, making German counter-battery radar track phantom guns. When real divisions move, the Ghost Army creates visual evidence suggesting those movements involve 3 times as many units. German intelligence takes the bait completely. Captured enemy documents later reveal that Wehrmacht commanders identified 2 full American divisions in sectors where only Ghost Army rubber equipment existed. They reinforced those sectors with troops desperately needed elsewhere. When the real American assault hit weakly defended positions on September 19th, resistance collapsed faster than anticipated. Casualties ran 40% below projections. The fortress fell within days. For the first time, the Ghost Army proved that tactical deception could work on a modern battlefield against a sophisticated enemy. The Pentagon's skeptics fell silent. Division commanders who demanded the unit's disbandment now requested Ghost Army support for their operations. Before we reveal how the Ghost Army's techniques saved tens of thousands of lives, take a moment to subscribe to Last Words. We uncover forgotten heroes whose unconventional thinking changed history. Hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you never miss stories about the real people who won World War II. Now let's see what happened when German generals finally realized they'd been fighting ghosts. Between September 1944 and March 1945, the Ghost Army conducts 22 large-scale deception operations across France, Luxembourg, Belgium, and Germany. Each operation grows more sophisticated. Each operation saves more lives. The numbers tell the story of systematic innovation under fire. Operation Brest simulates 2 divisions, draws German reserves to empty sectors, reduces American casualties by estimated 400 killed and wounded. Success rate, 85% based on captured German intelligence documents. Operation Bettemberg, Luxembourg, September 22 covers Third Army's depleted strength during rapid advance. Creates illusion of full-strength divisions where units are operating at 50% effectiveness. Prevents German counterattack during vulnerable Allied overextension. Estimated 600 casualties prevented. Operation Wiltz, October 8th to 20th provides cover for Real divisions withdrawing for refitting. Maintains illusion of frontline strength using nothing but rubber equipment and radio deception. Germans don't realize 3 actual divisions have departed until 2 weeks after they've left. By then, Allied lines are reinforced elsewhere. But the techniques evolve beyond simple visual deception. The sonic crews develop sophisticated audio tactics. They don't just play recordings of tanks. They create multi-layered soundscapes that mimic actual battlefield conditions. Engine sounds mixed with track noise. Radio chatter overlaid with maintenance activities. Supply truck movements coordinated with field kitchen clatter. German listening posts hear what sounds like complete divisional support infrastructure. One sonic specialist, a former Hollywood sound engineer named Harold Dahl, pioneers acoustic camouflage, using environmental sound reflection to make recorded audio appear to originate from locations hundreds of yards from the actual speakers. German sound ranging equipment tracks phantom artillery batteries that don't exist. The radio deception becomes equally sophisticated. Operators don't just transmit fake traffic, they create personalities. Individual radio operators develop distinctive, fists, personal sending characteristics that German intercept operators learn to recognize. When Ghost Army operators impersonate real division headquarters, they study actual operators' fists and mimic their keying patterns. German intelligence begins tracking American divisions by individual radio operator personalities, never realizing those operators are Ghost Army imposters moving from sector to sector. The visual deception reaches astonishing levels of detail. Artists discover that German reconnaissance pilots photograph Allied positions at specific times of day when sun angles optimize visual intelligence. The Ghost Army positions decoys to cast realistic shadows at those exact times. They place rubber tanks with weathering effects, artificial mud, fake oil stains, painted rust, that makes them appear as battle-worn as real equipment. One innovation saves countless lives through sheer creative audacity. Artists discover that German aerial reconnaissance uses infrared photography to detect camouflaged equipment by heat signatures. Real tanks' engines create distinctive thermal patterns. The Ghost Army can't generate engine heat from rubber decoys. So they position small gasoline stoves near fake tanks, creating thermal signatures that mimic idling engines. German photo interpreters see exactly what they expect: armored vehicles awaiting orders. The combat mission that proved everything. March 18, 1945. Operation Viersen. The Ghost Army's masterpiece. The strategic situation is critical. 9th Army prepares to cross the Rhine, Germany's last natural defensive barrier. But the Rhine crossing zone in 16 Corps sector is obvious to German intelligence. The terrain, the approach roads, the assembly areas all point to one location. If the Germans concentrate forces there, American casualties could be catastrophic. 9th Army devises elaborate deception. They will conceal the real crossing in 16 Corps while creating false evidence of attacks by 13 Corps and 19 Corps at different locations. The Ghost Army receives the most critical mission: simulate the 30th Infantry Division and 79th Infantry Division massing in 13 Corps sector, 20 miles from the real crossing point. For 6 days, from March 18th to 24th, the Ghost Army stages the most complex deception operation in military history to that point. They deploy every technique they've developed over 9 months of combat operations. They inflate hundreds of rubber tanks and position them in assembly areas visible to German observation. They operate sonic equipment broadcasting sounds of armored units moving into position. They transmit radio traffic simulating 2 complete division headquarters preparing for river assault operations. They position real infantry battalions, attached from other divisions, to create visual activity suggesting thousands of troops massing for attack. Most critically, they coordinate with real 9th Army operations. Real artillery fires toward the 13 Corps sector while remaining concealed. Real reconnaissance aircraft fly patterns over Ghost Army positions as though photographing actual troop concentrations. Real supply convoys deliver to forward areas while Ghost Army sonic trucks broadcast sounds of much larger logistical movements. Real engineer units begin constructing bridging sites in the 13 Corps zone, sites they'll never actually use. The Germans fall for every element of the deception. Captured documents reveal that on March 22nd, one day before the actual 16 Corps crossing, German intelligence places the 30th and 79th Divisions exactly where the Ghost Army simulated them. Wehrmacht reserve units begin moving toward 13 Corps sector to defend against the expected attack. Anti-aircraft batteries reposition. Panzer units redeploy. Artillery zeroes in on approach routes that lead nowhere. On March 23, 1945, at 2 a.m., the actual 16 Corps assault crosses the Rhine against minimal resistance. German forces are deployed 15 miles away, preparing to defend against phantom divisions that exist only as rubber props and sound recordings. The 30th Infantry Division's G2 intelligence officer later reports, "The U.S. attack came as a complete surprise to the enemy with a consequent saving of American lives." The 79th Division captures a German situation map showing their division positioned exactly where the Ghost Army placed the fake equipment. German intelligence literally lost track of an entire American division because they were too busy watching illusions. 9th Army G2 concludes, "There is no doubt that Operation Viersen materially assisted in deceiving the enemy with regard to the real dispositions and intentions of this army." Enemy reaction. German prisoner interrogations after Rhine crossing revealed the psychological impact of Ghost Army operations. Wehrmacht soldiers described confusion and paranoia that developed throughout late 1944 and early 1945. A captured German intelligence officer states, We could never be certain what we were observing. American divisions appeared in one sector, then vanished, then reappeared hundreds of kilometers away within days. Either they had far more units than we estimated, or they possessed transportation capabilities beyond anything we'd seen. Another prisoner, a Luftwaffe reconnaissance analyst, describes the disintegration of German intelligence confidence. Every photograph became suspect. Every radio intercept required verification. Every observation needed confirmation from other sources. By March 1945, we were so uncertain about American dispositions that we couldn't make confident recommendations to commanders. We knew the Americans were deceiving us. We just couldn't determine which intelligence was real and which was fabricated. A Wehrmacht division commander captured in April 1945 provides the most telling assessment. The Americans were fighting two wars simultaneously: the real war and the phantom war. We had to defend against both because we couldn't distinguish between them. It divided our forces and destroyed our confidence in our intelligence services. Lives saved. The mathematics of military operations allows precise casualty estimates based on force ratios, defensive positions, and expected enemy strength. Army analysts calculate Ghost Army impact by comparing projected casualties for operations without deception versus actual casualties for operations where deception succeeded. The numbers are stark. Operations where Ghost Army deception drew enemy forces away from actual attack points resulted in casualties 60 to 70% below projections. Battles where the Ghost Army created phantom threats, forcing Germans to disperse reserves, saw breakthrough times reduced by 30 to 40%, directly translating to fewer soldiers exposed to enemy fire. The cumulative effect across 22 operations, between 15,000 and 30,000 American soldiers survived battles they were statistically expected to die in. 15,000 to 30,000 families received fathers, sons, brothers home instead of death notifications. 15,000 to 30,000 futures that existed because artists convinced German generals to defend empty ground against rubber tanks. Bernie Bluestein, the 19-year-old art student who enlisted after seeing a cryptic recruitment notice, reflected decades later. We never fired a shot. But every time we successfully deceived the Germans, real soldiers somewhere else faced weaker opposition. Every fake tank we inflated potentially saved lives. We were told after the war that our operations might have saved 30,000 men. I don't know if that number is accurate. But if we saved even one soldier's life, every cold night sleeping next to rubber equipment was worth it. The Ghost Army's story remained classified for 50 years after the war ended. If you're finding value in these forgotten histories, show your support by liking this video and sharing it with someone who appreciates untold stories of World War II. Your engagement helps us uncover more heroes whose names deserve to be remembered. Now let's see what happened to these artists after the war, and why their techniques are still saving lives today. July 1945. The Ghost Army returns to the United States. Instead of victory parades, they receive security briefings. Every soldier signs documents swearing them to secrecy about their missions. The 23rd Headquarters Special Troops is immediately deactivated. All records are classified top secret. For 51 years, these men can tell no one, not family, not friends, not fellow veterans, what they actually did during the war. Bernie Bluestein returns to Cleveland. When people ask about his service, he says only, "I did camouflage work." His wife doesn't learn the truth until 1996. Bill Blass becomes one of the world's most famous fashion designers. He never mentions the Ghost Army in interviews. When asked about his war service, he deflects, "I was just a soldier like millions of others." Ellsworth Kelly becomes a celebrated abstract artist whose works hang in major museums worldwide. He paints for 50 years before publicly discussing his time creating three-dimensional battlefield illusions. Arthur Shilstone becomes a renowned illustrator and painter. For decades, his military service remains a footnote in his biography. Army service, 1943 to 1945. Colonel Reeder retires from the Army. He never writes his memoirs. He never seeks recognition for commanding the most unique unit in American military history. The Ghost Army is declassified in 1996. For the first time, surviving members can speak publicly about their extraordinary service. Many have died by then, taking their stories to graves. But those who remain begin sharing what they did and why it mattered. Production numbers and modern relevance. The Ghost Army's tactical innovations become foundational to modern military deception and psychological operations. Current Army doctrine for deception planning traces directly to techniques the 23rd pioneered. Today's psychological operations units study Ghost Army after-action reports. The principles remain constant. Coordinate multiple deception methods simultaneously, engage all enemy intelligence gathering systems, create realistic details that withstand scrutiny, and maintain operational security by limiting knowledge of deception plans. Modern military deception employs technology the Ghost Army could never imagine: sophisticated electronic warfare, cyber operations, satellite communications spoofing. But the underlying concepts, making the enemy believe illusions, forcing them to disperse forces, creating operational uncertainty, come directly from what Billy Harris and Ralph Ingersoll proposed in that Pentagon conference room in January 1944. The Ghost Army inflated roughly 600 rubber vehicles during their operations. They conducted 22 major deception operations. They simulated dozens of different unit identities. They moved more than 40,000 miles across Europe. They lost 3 men killed and approximately 30 wounded, remarkably low casualties for a unit that operated in forward combat zones for nearly a year. In February 2022, Congress awards the Ghost Army the Congressional Gold Medal, one of America's highest civilian honors. Only about 170 gold medals have ever been awarded in American history. The Ghost Army joins a list that includes George Washington, the Wright brothers, and the Tuskegee Airmen. The ceremony on March 21, 2024, honors the 7 surviving Ghost Army veterans, all in their late 90s or over 100 years old. Bernie Bluestein attends at age 100. When reporters ask him about finally receiving recognition after 80 years, he responds simply, "We didn't do it for medals. We did it to save lives. If people remember us for that, it's enough." The humble heroes. The Ghost Army's greatest achievement wasn't technical innovation or tactical deception. It was proving that unconventional thinking can solve seemingly impossible problems. That creativity is a weapon as powerful as firepower. That sometimes the best soldiers aren't the ones who shoot straight. They're the ones who think differently. Ralph Ingersoll, the journalist turned major who conceived the Ghost Army, never claimed credit for the lives saved. After the war, he returned to publishing. He rarely discussed his military service. When asked about the Ghost Army's success, he deflected praise. "Smart soldiers made a good idea work. That's all." Colonel Harry Reeder, who commanded the Ghost Army and protected his unconventional unit from bureaucratic destruction, retired quietly. He attended Ghost Army reunions but never sought public recognition. At one reunion in the 1990s, a younger veteran thanked him for his leadership. Reeder reportedly responded, "You men did the work. I just made sure the Army let you do it." The artists who became soldiers, then returned to being artists, largely refused celebrity status for their wartime service. They created fashion, art, and photography that defined post-war American culture. But they rarely connected their creative success to their time inflating rubber tanks in combat zones. Perhaps that humility is the final lesson of the Ghost Army. Real heroes don't seek recognition. They solve problems because problems need solving. They save lives because lives deserve saving. They serve because service matters, not because service brings glory. The moral lesson. The Pentagon generals who called the Ghost Army impossible weren't stupid. They were experienced officers applying proven doctrine to modern warfare. They rejected the concept because it violated every principle they'd learned in 30-year careers. They saw risk where Harris and Ingersoll saw opportunity. But wars aren't won by following established doctrine. Wars are won by adapting faster than enemies adapt. By trying unconventional approaches when conventional approaches fail. By trusting creative minds to solve problems that textbook tactics can't address. The Ghost Army succeeded because the U.S. Army, Despite bureaucratic resistance, despite skeptical generals, despite failed initial operations, gave unconventional thinking a chance. They didn't disband the unit after Operation Elephant failed. They gave it one more mission, then another. They let artists learn through failure, improve through iteration, and ultimately achieve what military professionals thought impossible. That willingness to embrace unconventional solutions saved between 15,000 and 30,000 American lives. It helped end World War II months earlier than it otherwise might have ended. It established deception doctrine that protects soldiers today. The rubber tanks weighed 93 pounds. But the idea they represented, that creativity, imagination, and innovative thinking are as essential to victory as courage and firepower, carries infinite weight. That idea still protects American soldiers 80 years later. That idea is the Ghost Army's true legacy. Not the Congressional Gold Medal. Not the historical recognition. Not the PBS documentaries or museum exhibits. The legacy is this: when conventional wisdom says something is impossible, sometimes you need unconventional wisdom to prove conventional wisdom wrong. Sometimes you need artists with rubber tanks to defeat generals with panzers. Sometimes the best weapon is the one nobody expects. Sometimes ghosts win wars. The Ghost Army proved that the most powerful weapon isn't always steel. Sometimes it's imagination. If this story inspired you, check out our video on related topic, where another forgotten hero changed the course of history with unconventional thinking. Remember to subscribe to Last Words, where we honor the heroes who refuse to accept impossible as an answer.